Guys, a lot of people keep asking me, when is this rally going to finish? When's the market over? How high can Bitcoin go? How high is Ethereum going to go? And I don't know, guys. I don't know how much higher it's going to go. We've made some pretty good calls this cycle, and a lot of people keep thinking I'm some sort of messiah or oracle. We made some amazing calls, including pretty much calling where the market went and pretty much every pivot point, right? I posted back here on the 5th of November 2023. So, Bitcoin was down here somewhere. And I posted saying it will change depending on the macro, right? If Kamala wins or Trump wins, you're going to get two different outcomes. So it will change depending on the macro. But for now, don't really have to worry until BTC is at all-time high. That's when I will hopefully take some profits. Not sure how much that will be. We'll check at the time, probably 10% or 20%. 100K is going to be a very big level, and I think many will take profits here. I expect Bitcoin will surpass that by a lot, but it will be another level for me to DCA out personally, right? So a lot of people are saying, how did you know this? Guys, I was kind of just looking at psychology, right? If you look what happened last cycle, we had one of the worst bear markets we've ever had. And we also had one of the biggest bull runs we've ever had. So many people were in huge profits, like max profits. And they held and they got sucked into the, buy the dip, hodl. And then they ended up holding all their bags all the way down, and most lost, or were down 90%, 80%. The Bitcoin holders were down, 70 something percent. If you brought near the top, that is. So obviously all-time high was going to be a massive psychological level, and it was going to be a level where I was going to take some profits. And we saw the entire altcoin market really take a big hit here when we got up to all-time highs. So let's just look at the chart here. So this was all-time highs. This was all-time highs here where I took my first profits. And yeah, we saw the market really tank, and I said, look, we don't have to worry until we come back to support. And then this is where we started to place some more bets, right? We took the Bitcoin long here. I think I made like $500,000 longing here. It was crazy. Then Trump won the election and really sort of pushed the price up. And then I said 100K, big psychological level, right? So you didn't have to be a rocket scientist. It was obvious we were going to have a pullback at all-time high and 100K. And then we had this massive pullback from 108K all the way down to 75K. And again, back to the bull run trend line. And that's where we started to buy some Solana. We took some more long positions, and the market continued to rally again. We came back to the bull run trend line. This tends to happen quite often in a bull run. You go up, you come back to the trend line, you go up, you come back to the trend line. The trend is your friend until the end. We've done the same thing last cycle. And then when you break this trend line, you're technically in a bear market. The problem is, a lot of people say, well, I'll just short when we break the trend line. The problem is you come down so fast that by the time you get to this trend line, altcoins are usually down 90%, 95% by the time you get here, and everyone tries to short altcoins, and the market makers just go and liquidate everyone, right? So those who make a lot of money shorting altcoins tend to short up here. Okay, so this is where we were taking short positions. This is where we were taking some very big short positions. I've got all the receipts to show you guys. A lot of people call me out, but this is why I post my receipts so you can see all of the trades I'm taking. You can see my sell alert for render up here. Obviously, if I'm selling, guys, I'm also going to be looking for shorts, right? And same here, we bought the dip. When we came back to the bull run support line, we bought the dip, and I made a 10x here. Am I winning every trade? No, I've hit some stops here and there. But if you buy in the bear market and you sell in the bull run, and then you buy back in the bear pullbacks, you're reducing your risks, right? And that's what I try to do. I try to be patient. I don't try to overtrade. I try to wait for these key pivot points. So top of resistance, short, support, long, resistance, short, support, long. Are we at resistance yet? We're getting close to the next resistance, which I want to talk about with you guys, because after this, there's no more resistance, right? There's no more levels that I'm looking at with conviction about getting some sort of rejection or retracement. And the last two times we've tapped this line, we're in this clear channel, right? We've got we long bottom, short, long, short, and we're getting close to it. We haven't quite tapped it. And also a lot of short positions, I believe $8 billion in short positions would be liquidated around 130K. So I really like this level. And you guys know I've already taken one of my shorts. I said when we tap this 7-year resistance, I have no option but to take a short, right? I'm a trader. If I didn't short this and it got rejected, I'd be kicking myself for years of, why didn't I short this 7-year resistance? So I had no choice but to short it, and we've closed above it. The trend is your friend until the end. We're starting to close on the weekly, multiple weeks above. We can clearly say that we're trying to find support on top of this now. And when you break through resistance, strong resistance like this, and you flip it into support, you usually do make a move to the upside, and the trend is your friend. So, I did lose 1%, so I only put 1% on that short position. So as you guys know, we've talked about this before, I'm planning to do 3 short entries on Bitcoin of around 1%. I might increase it if we push really high, but at the moment, I'm only risking 3%, right? I'm not risking too much of my portfolio. So if I'm wrong, I'm not going to get wiped out, right? I've made colossal amounts of money. And it's also on low leverage. So if I do open a short at 130k, I think they have to push it up to like 145 or 150 to liquidate me. And I could always add to that position as well, which means they'd maybe have to push it to 155 to liquidate me. I kind of like doing that with small percents, because if I only put 1% in and I think, we're getting quite toppy, but I'm almost liquidated, I don't mind sometimes just chucking another 1%. And then I'm only risking 2%, but my breathing room is so big, right? So as you guys know, we kind of, I hit my stop loss on that 1%, but I made it all back long in Ethereum. We flipped long on Ethereum. I think I'm up 2% or 3% on the Ethereum long. So made it straight back, even though it was quite depressing losing that 1%. So, we've made some good calls. I did say I expect it will surpass 100k by a lot, but there's no more levels to look at, right? We had the obvious levels of all-time high was going to be a pullback, 100k was going to be a pullback. Now nobody knows, guys. And we are playing in dangerous territory, because we're now in this range, this green range, that has historically been the top of the market, right? The 4-year cycle appears to be playing out just as it has in the past. We go into a bull run. This is the worst time to buy. Everyone who FOMOs in, like retail who FOMO in, end up making a loss, usually 70, 80, 90, 95%. And then those who buy the dip end up being rewarded, making a lot of money. Those who FOMO in and buy the green end up making a loss. Those who buy the dip, like we did this cycle, everyone ends up making a lot of money. And, I'm taking profits, right? I'm not buying, even though the institutions are FOMOing in right now. I think, I don't know how it's going to end for them, but I'm not going to bet on this time's different for the first time ever, especially when we're in one of the most aggressive assets, the most volatile asset that is historically having these huge crashes. And it goes through this unique halving cycle, which also adds to this volatility, right? It's not like other assets. It has its own unique halving cycle, and there's miners, and we go through this cycle. And I think personally, I'm going to trust the data, I'm going to trust history, and I'm going to expect the same thing to happen that's previously happened. And even more so, as this has happened so many times now, the more often it happens, the more it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? We sell the green, we buy the red. A lot of people are looking at this kind of data and thinking, yeah, I think this is going to end soon. And are you going to bet on this time's different, or are you going to de-risk around the same sort of time that we do have this market crash? And that happens towards the end of this year. So probably October, November, you usually start to see this bear market downtrend. And don't forget, a lot of people make a lot of money in this bear market, guys. A lot of people who short, even a lot of the money I've made this cycle has been from shorting, even though we're in a bull run. How crazy is that? Even though we're in a bull run, I made a lot of money shorting here. I made a colossal amount of money shorting here. And, a lot of my money's been made shorting. And if you look at the gains and losses in leverage trading this cycle, most of the money that's been lost has been long in Bitcoin, which is crazy in a bull run, because most people were getting super bullish up here and the market come back and wrecked them. Most people were getting super bullish up here, flipping longs, and the market came back and wrecked them, right? Flushed them all out. And that's on our favor if we're looking for short positions, because we know that people get very bullish on the pumps, and we can look at the data. Is this a good time to look for some shorts? And if we can place those, happy days. If you manage to short going into a bear market, you can actually make more in a bear market than you can in a bull run, right? If you shorted Bitcoin up here at 70,000 and it went down to 16,000, Solana went from like $250 to $8 very fast. Okay, it happens very, very fast. It's very hard to do, but if you do that, you can make much more money in a bear market than you can in a bull run. And then you're also making money into a bear market, which means you're getting ready to take your profits and buy spot on the dip, right? So it's a phenomenal transition if you do manage to catch those shorts. So I'm definitely going to play some bets and try and short. So yeah, my next target, guys, is 130k, just because it was resistance here. We have a clear channel, very, very nice channel. Do remember as well that, in my opinion, one of these pumps is going to be the last, right? You don't just pump and pump forever. It's not an infinite money glitch that just dishes out free money. One of these is going to be the last, and I'd like to be on board that dump if we potentially see it. And the last position wasn't so serious because I did only open a 1% short on BTC. When I'm confident, and it might be at 130k, depends on the macro, it depends what's going on with Trump and the White House. We don't know what they're rolling out with Bitcoin. They might even be accumulating themselves. So obviously it's going to depend on the situation, the macro, what's going on with the institutions and the on-chain data, right? I'll be looking at all the on-chain data, all the metrics. But when I'm very confident, I open shorts on altcoins, right? So I don't just open a short on BTC, and sometimes I don't even open a short on BTC. It might be Ethereum, because BTC has so much love and at the moment there's so much interest, and it's a very unique asset compared to some altcoins. Sometimes it's Ethereum, Solana, altcoins that I start to open loads of shorts on. You'll see my Discord is like short, open short, open short, open short, open short. So I did luckily only just short BTC with 1%, and we started to flip into some longs recently. So yeah, look, I'm not going to get every call right. I think we've had a phenomenal cycle. Not only did we call these pumps and pullbacks, we also avoided Ethereum. We went into Solana. I said, I'm not buying Ethereum this cycle. I'm going with Solana. And obviously that massively outperformed Ethereum. We avoided crypto gaming. I said, I'm not interested in it. I don't think it's going to perform very well because of what happened last cycle. We made a lot of money in crypto gaming last cycle. In and out, new shiny coin syndrome, skipped metaverse, skipped all of these crappy Decentraland projects, because the narrative died, and Disney cancelled all their programs. So we avoided loads of bombs. We managed to get into some decent layer ones. I said layer ones are probably going to be one of the main runners, and we got into Casper and Solana and into AI. We got into Render. We also got into some crap that definitely dumped, and that's part of the game. You can't win every trade. And we got into meme coins, and a lot of money was made in meme coins as well. And it was one of the top runners this cycle. I think we've done a 10x just buying Pepe in the lows, and then just waiting for Pepe to bull run. So we had a really, really good run of predictions, and I'm going to do the same next cycle, guys. Let's say Bitcoin goes to, just to make it simple, let's say Bitcoin goes to 200k. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I've done this cycle. I think if Bitcoin goes to 200k, and let's be conservative and say we only have a 50% correction. We only have 50% crash because we've just gone 80% into 70%. It makes sense that we have a big gap here because of the institutional adoption, right? So maybe we only have a 50% correction this cycle. And we go to 200k, so we have 50% correction. We pull back to 100k floor for BTC in a bear market. Don't forget, our tools are going to tell us when this happens, right? Our bear market tools, every time we come down to this orange line, it's pretty much the bottom of the bear market. So we've got all of these cool tools that are going to help us identify this. So let's say we come down to 100k, and I start to take longs, I start to buy spot, I start to load up. My first DCA out is going to be 200k, right? The exact same thing that we've done this cycle, all-time high, I will take profits. Why? Because the same thing's going to if this happens, the same mentality is going to change. One thing that doesn't change very much is humans, right? They're human greed, human euphoria, human optimism, we're naturally optimistic. We're buying Bitcoin at 130K. We think it's going to 1 million. We're going to hold into a 50-60% correction and then probably sell the bottom, right? The human psychology is one thing that's not going to change. And that's all the charts are, right? This is just human psychology. And that's one thing that I think is potentially going to play out again. What I think a lot of the people that are buying the FOMO, that are FOMOing into the market, are going to struggle just as they did last cycle, right? They're going to struggle to watch their bags go down 30%, and they're going to think, oh, I hope that was it. And then they're going to watch their bags come down 50%, and they're going to start to panic because, some of these institutions are putting in 100 million, $1 billion. We're talking about if you put in $1 billion into BTC and it has a 50% pullback, you've just gone down $500 million. And you're a hedge fund, you're an asset manager, whatever. Your clients are going, how are we doing? And they're like, oh, well, actually, on that BTC buy, we're down 500 million. It turns out we weren't looking at Glassnode, but yeah, on reflection, it was actually the worst time to buy. And we got sucked into the Trump euphoria and FOMO, and we're down. And their clients are going to go, well, what if we go down another 50%? No, we won't. It doesn't usually happen like that. But what if it does? And they'll go, well, if it does, we'll be down to 250 million from 1 billion. Right. So we could lose potentially another 250 million. No, de-risk, sir. Take 30% off. Take 25% off, whatever. De-risk. Sometimes they think like this, and I think we are going to have this. I think we are going to have this pullback, and we're probably going to get a shakeout phase. Don't forget, the banks really want to get in. The banks have not had an opportunity to play. It's been retail that were given the opportunity to buy Bitcoin at 1K, at 5K, at 10K. And then it's the companies who were given the opportunity when the ETF approved at 30K, and the institutions, and now the banks want an entry. And do you think the banks are going to be happy that they're having to come in and buy Bitcoin at 130K when everyone else got to buy it at 16K and 5K? No, not at all. And that might be another reason we've seen the banks buy so much gold, right? We've seen banks buy gold at all-time highs. Bitcoin has not been on the table for them. So I do think we need a black swan for the banks. They need an entry. They are very powerful. They have a lot of money. And also the institutions work with the banks, and they all speak. They're all buddies, right? You don't just have like billions of dollars and you're not in a network with other people with billions of dollars. And they'll want an entry, right? Everyone wants the big crash who's not in, who's sidelined, because that's how they're going to make most of their money. They're not going to make most of their money buying this, right? And they're also not stupid. They don't just go and buy green candles. They wait for retracements. They wait for red days. They wait for if you just followed this indicator, you would have pretty much outperformed everyone in the market. Just buying when it was red, selling when it was green, buying when it was red, selling green, buying red, selling green. You would have outperformed everyone. And they're not stupid. They have access to data like this, right? So not only that, this is one of my favorite indicators. I can't wait to see where this comes to. This is already over 30. This is almost at 40K, guys. So if Bitcoin doesn't come down soon, this is going to get higher and higher. And I do not think that this is going to go, the price will ever go below this orange line. And that means that, in a week or so, we're going to be above 40K at least. So I don't think we'll ever see 30K. I don't think we'll see 35K. And also, don't forget, when Bitcoin crashes, it does take some time, which means this orange line is still going to trickle up. And it might actually push over 50K, even 60K, if Bitcoin doesn't chill out here and keeps going to the upside. This orange line is going to keep going to the upside. And, the new floor is going to be decided by the data, which I'll keep you guys posted. So don't forget, guys, like and subscribe to stay up to date with the latest, because this is really expensive. And I know it's like hundreds of dollars. Is it hundreds a month? No, it's not quite hundreds a month. I think I pay $800 a year or something for this, $800 a year. And I know not everyone can afford that. So, follow, subscribe to stay up to date, and I'll keep you posted on when this does actually come down to this orange indicator. So yeah, I'm going to sell at all-time high, even if I think it's going to go much higher, right? A lot of people said to me last cycle, why are you planning to sell at all-time high if you've already just stated you think it's going to 100K and much higher? Well, this is exactly why I've been quite successful and why the Patreon has absolutely exploded, right? We made so many good calls this cycle. My Patreon's gone to like 24K a month. And, we've got 1,000, we've got more members than this, right? Because we've got lifetime members as well. So this is one of the reasons we've done so well is risk management, right? It's about not being too confident, not being too cocky, not thinking you're smarter than the markets, but actually, having a plan, having a strategy. Yes, I think markets are going to cool down at all-time high. Yes, I'm going to take profits here. Why? Because what happens if I'm wrong? What happens if it does top at 70k and I'm up? Because we were up like 25x here on a lot of assets, right? I think Render was up 25x, Casper was up 25x, Solana was almost up 10x. Loads of stuff was going crazy. And I've already made a lot of money. So, I'm not going to be too greedy. Pigs get slaughtered. And, I'm going to be humble. And maybe the market it does continue to go to the upside. That's fine. And I'm going to do that. And then 100k here, right? And I'll probably do the same if Bitcoin goes to 200. So let's say it's done a 50% correction. And it goes to 200k. That's all previous all-time high. And then it goes higher. And it goes to 250k, I'll probably have another DCA out target and I'll probably take profits. And if it goes to 400k or 500k, I'll probably have a final DCA out. So as you guys know, I've done two DCA outs this cycle. Here was my first one, 100k was my second, and I still have my third to take. So the final, I think 30%, let's say 30%. I think it's a little bit less than that because I recently bought back into the market a little bit. So let's say 30%. That's my final DCA out 3. And when do I sell that? Well, when I think the market's topped. And I don't know. I feel like we're getting close, guys. I'm not going to lie. I do feel like we're getting close. Usually it tops October and November. And I kind of like to have a moon bag for that final phase because often that final phase is where actually most of the gains are made, right? That final euphoria is where most of the gains are made historically. Now, you have to remember, this might not happen, right? And there's a lot of people who are waiting for this one last final pump where everyone sells together, and it might happen, but it's not for me, that game. I don't like to hold my bags into this one last final pump where everyone wins and we're all going to be rich and buy Lambos, right? It's a bit of a fairy tale to me, and I like to be more realistic, and I like to take profits on the way up. And, so far it's been a good decision. I still think like Render has not even come back to the first price we started to take some profits off the table. A lot of them haven't actually. I think our DCA2 on Solana was $250, and I think it's still, even today, is $200. So you just never know. I mean, it does look like we've been in this like 13-month consolidation, so it does look like we are trying to break out here, and I hope we do, guys, especially for the bag holders. But you just don't know how these things, and this is where we first started to take profits at 12.30. I think it went just over 12.8. It went to like 12.60 or something. And then, I think we took our second batch of profits here somewhere around this pump here. And yeah, the market pumps, I take profits, guys. That's how I do. Buy down here in the bear market when everything's red, when we're in these red zones, buy in the bear market, take profits in the green. I just stick to the strategy. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. The markets are designed to manipulate you. You're going to see all loads of crap on social media about we're going to 1 million, we're going to 1,000x, we're going to 100x. It's all designed to, intentional to pump the market, to pump people's bags. And, pigs get slaughtered. Those who end up being too greedy, holding, the ones that end up holding their bags down to zero. And actually, a lot of the altcoins we sold everything of some of the high-risk altcoins. And if you go and look at some of those now, it's a massacre, right? It's an absolute massacre. Look at this. It's down, 90% now? I think we sold somewhere up here. OLAS must be down 90%. We completely sold our entire bag of OLAS. Look at the state of this. I sold at $7 something up here. I sold around $7, and someone was telling me I was making a massive mistake. It's now 23 cents, right? So you would be down like over 95%, 100k to 5k if you would have held and hoped. And this is the same across the board, right? I said I'm selling spec because the insiders are selling their own token. What happened to spec? Absolutely nuked. What's the market cap? The market cap on this was 250 million, 240 million. And, we got out of this, we cut our losses, and, the project was down, over 99%, I think. The price was, let's have a look at the price. Oh my days. The price was $16, $17 and it's now 64 cents. So a 10x is just $6.40 from here. I wouldn't buy this, guys. Look at the volume. Down 36%, 3 million trading volume. FTV 64 million. This is going to be an unlock rug into constant unlocks and constant VCs just selling what's left in there. It's going to bleed. Massacre. I could probably do this for hours of the projects that we just ditched and got out of. It's just happened time and time again. So the space is not a joke. Don't play games with this space, guys. Most people lose. Most people are going to lose everything, and they're going to hold and hope. And there's people who are raging in spec that held and bought the dip. People were buying it on socials. Buy the dip. It's just a dip. Oh, it's 30% off. It's 40% off. And then look, when you're looking on chain, you can actually see if the team and insiders are selling, why am I going to hold the token? Like if the own team and the whales and the VCs and everyone who founded the project are selling, why am I going to sell? I put a post on, follow my ex by the way, because I did post saying the insiders and the team are selling spec. I can see them sending their tokens in the heart. One guy sent 500k of his own tokens to Bybit, and then shortly after the price started to tank. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't know where the top is, but I do know that we do have a massive resistance at 130k, and we do have a lot of people that will be liquidated at 130k. I do know that this orange line is support, but you have to remember that this is due to end soon. So there's only so many times we're likely to bounce off this orange. If we don't crash through this orange support line and go into a bear market, it's going to be the first time in history. Okay, so you see how we go green, red, green, red, green. According to the people who are changing their stance on this market, apparently we're going to be green for many, many months and maybe even a year, because a lot of people are saying, oh, they're going to cut rates, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. According to them, this is going to be the first time in history that we just go green, 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 and we stay in this continuous green period. Is it possible? I mean, look, anything can change at any time whatsoever, but the history of this has been so accurate. The 4-year cycle, I wouldn't like to bet against the 4-year cycle. Why? Well, I've changed my life by betting on the 4-year cycle, right? I bought last bear market as well when everything went in 25x and 30x, and I didn't sell the top last cycle, but I definitely, I was definitely taking some profits. I did sell the top of my land in Sandbox. I got close to the top on Cardano. I think I sold around 270, 280. I held a lot of things. ILV I sold almost near the top, but I wouldn't bet against it, guys. I really wouldn't. I'm just sticking to the strategy. If I do what I've done for the past 2 cycles, I just need to make a 10x. I'm up to $1 million now, and I started with 3k. I think I started with $3,000, and I'm up to $1 million now, and I just need to 10x this, and I have 10 million. And then if I 10x that, it's 100 million. So I plan to do 2 more cycles to get up to 100 million. Then I'm ghost. Then I'm gone. I'm out of the game. You won't. I'll be on my own island or something. I don't know. I'm never gonna leave the game. I could never leave this game. I actually enjoy it. I think it's good fun. I love waking up, looking at the markets, looking at the news. I'm a musician as well, and I actually sometimes I struggle to decide whether to make music or crypto videos. That's how much I enjoy it. So I'm not going anywhere, and I feel like we made these calls back in 2023, right? We pretty much predicted the market, including where it was going to pull back in 2023. So just think, this was even before I was using Nansen, I think, at the time. So just think how much we've learned, how much we've evolved, how much more risk management we've learned by taking some L's here and there. I think like we've leveled up as a community, but some of my guys have been with us since 2023. So as a community, we've leveled up, and there's some smart people in the Discord who are even showing me things, and I'm like, oh wow, you're onto something there. That's a really good point. Great call. So we're all leveling up together, and I just feel like we're primed, and we're getting into stocks now. I called one stock, not for fun. I guess I called one stock just because I thought this is going to do really well. And it's done a 10x, right? So I'm literally just getting into stocks this cycle, and it was Coinbase. It done a 10x. We didn't FOMO into the IPO. We waited for the crash. Like I said to everyone, was like, should I buy it? It was green, right? This is a good example because Coinbase was green here, right? Everyone wanted to buy the IPO, and I said, I don't buy green. I don't buy pumps. I wait for the crash. I wait for the bear. And that's been worked for me, and it's where most of my money's been made. And I've done the same on Coinbase. I just waited and waited, and it came down, I think 80%, 90%. Everything looked amazing. It's probably on my X somewhere in a buy alert or something. But yeah, look, this was the green, and we just waited and bought the bear market. And then look, now we recently went up 10x. So 10k to 100k, one asset, happy days. And Coinbase is probably going to just follow BTC, right? So if BTC goes up, this could be 100x. This could be 100x over time, over a long period of time, because once you've done your 10x, you only need another 10x from here, and you're on 100x, right? And the market cap is 100 billion. So can it go to a trillion? Well, yeah, I think so in time, in a long time. If people expect Bitcoin to go to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, then they're definitely going to be expecting Coinbase to eventually push over a trillion market cap, right? So yeah, that's it for now, guys. Let me know what's your thoughts. How high do you think Bitcoin's going to go? I will say it's going to be one of the hardest things to short this cycle. It's definitely going to be one of the hardest things to short this cycle because you have so much institutional adoption. Donald Trump just bought $2 billion. Like, imagine hearing that last cycle, the president of the United States buying $2 billion worth in a pump, right? Michael Saylor keeps buying. He keeps trying to raise more money. I think that's an accident waiting to happen. But for now, hey, he's buying the dips. He's pumping it. Companies are still getting FOMO. BlackRock is still buying. It's looking okay for now. But don't forget where we are, right? Don't forget where we are on the grand scheme of things. But right now, after this 130k resistance, we're just guessing, right? After the 130k, there's no more logical resistances. So I probably will short at 130. I'll probably short altcoins, and I will probably short BTC. I'll post what I'm shorting in my Discord. So if you do want to join us, guys, head over to my X. It's this one, not the top one. I know a lot of people are searching the top name, but there's slightly different on the bottom. You see where it's RPTO. There's no Y. So if you want to follow me, there's also a free Telegram. So if you don't have the money to join the Patreon, you can jump in the Telegram. But if you do want to jump in with us, you get these buy and sell alerts in my Discord. You can see here, buy alert render in the bear market, 0.54. DCA out alert, render, $12.30. So almost sold the top, almost bought the bottom. Sold 30% of my render to the USDC bag. I will not be spending this USDC on new altcoins. This is solely for the exit bag. So I strongly believe in that as well. Sometimes you buy the altcoin dip, you take profits from one thing, you go and buy the dip on something else, and then it ends up doing this, right? Ends up doing the spec, and then you've lost all your gains. And you've been so patient, waiting for the bear, selling in the bull. This took years, right? This took 2 years of gains. And we had to sit through all these pump and dumps. You had to sit through all the FUD. You waited and you waited. You got paid. This is exactly what you dreamt of. And don't go and give that back to the market, right? Put that away. Save it. I mean, I can't give you guys advice, but that's what I would do. That's it for now, guys. Don't forget, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and press the bell notification button so you don't miss out on any of these videos. And don't forget, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research. Investing in crypto, investing in anything is highly risky. You can lose all of your money investing in anything. So always do your own research before buying anything or investing. And that's it for now, guys. Until then, I will catch you in the next one.